Well, howdy folks, it's Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician, making another video for you out of Boise, Idaho. I have yet another 2005 Ford Expedition 5.4 liter Triton model. This one has transmission issues. Now, I say another because if you follow my YouTube channel, you'll know that I've been in the process of rebuilding this 5.4 liter Triton. And what I find interesting is this one, early on in its life, I think at around 80,000 miles or even sooner, had the transmission rebuilt. So if you heard me say it once, you'll hear me say it again. If I can save you any heartache, stay very far away from these vehicles. From 2004 on up to 2010, Ford had this engine, this Triton engine, and the transmission behind it. It's a beefy transmission, but honestly, they're engineered horribly, and there's a reason why I'm constantly working on them. So, from what I understand, I guess the transmission started feeling like it was slipping or maybe shifting hard on this vehicle, and so that eventually led to it being rebuilt. After it was rebuilt, it started acting up again and not working correctly, so that's just to keep a long story short, and that's how we got it here. Once I was able to get it started, the battery's been dead in it, but once I was able to get it started and get it going, I kind of noticed, first of all, we had some pretty serious engine issues going on, and then of course we have the transmission issue. So let's go ahead and get started first. And the first thing I want to pay attention to when I get this vehicle started is the clacking noise that's coming out of the engine. And if you watch my other Ford videos with the Ford Triton in it, you might even recognize the clacking noise. Okay, so let's go here and let's put it into gear. Now I'm going to put it into drive. I'm going to take my foot off the brake. I'm going to shut, and you're going to see what's going to happen. Putting it in drive, taking my foot off the brake. We're moving backwards. Moving backwards. Up, we just caught. Okay, and yes, I still have the vehicle in drive. It is not moving. It'll barely hold itself on this incline. Listen to this engine. Oop, almost tripped on a rock. Listen. Okay, so that's my first concern that I have. Alright, this engine is obviously misfiring. It's hardly running on its own when you put it underneath a load. And then, like I said, you put it into drive. I'm going to pull up. Okay, we're going to put it back into park. Now you can really hear it acting up. Okay, and the first thing I'm going to do, again, I'm going to come back in here, put my foot on the brake. Now I'm sitting on an incline. Put it in the drive, take my foot off the brake, and we're rolling backwards. Engine's caught, transmission won't hold it. There we go. Now we can move forward. Engine's about to die. Let's put it in park again. Let's go back and listen to that clacking noise now. Alright. Now the clacking noise is coming out of the valve cover here. And we all know what that is from watching the previous videos. It's either going to be a bad cam phaser or a lifter inside of there. I'm also not so sure it's firing properly on all of its cylinders. So let's go back to the transmission again. Here we go. Gonna put it in drive. Nothing. Oh, there we go. Oh, nope. So it's almost acting like a standard. You see that? You got to give it the gas if you want to hold it. And even then it barely goes on an incline. One last time, folks. I'm going to put it in drive. Take our foot off and we're going backwards, rolling backwards. It will not hold itself. There is no torque, no power. There we go. Give it a little gas, it'll grab. You go back up. Rolling backwards again. And then going back up. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and turn it off, and I'm going to take you to the drawing board. I'm going to show you what I suspect is wrong with this transmission. But before I do that, it is definitely time to go ahead and service these coils, the spark plugs, get all that service, because I'm not so sure in the beginning. I mean, I don't know. There could be a piece of the puzzle that I'm missing here. Maybe somebody did drop the pan, find a bunch of metal in it and all that other stuff in the beginning, but 155,000 miles. At 155,000 miles, this vehicle has never had the spark plugs changed out in it, or has never had the coils changed out in it. I can almost guarantee you that's where 80–90% of the problem is with this vehicle not running correctly. Even if it's just a slight difference in fuel mileage, who knows? But if you don't keep the tune-up up to snuff on this vehicle every 100,000 miles or less, I normally recommend every 90,000 miles, this vehicle will act up and do all kinds of stuff. But let me take you to the drawing board now and show you what I believe is wrong internally inside of that transmission. Okay, folks, I've got here a few different pages and pictures of my own pulled up. This one is of my own, of a 4R75 transmission, everything from beginning to the end that is inside of this transmission. Now, I'll tell you what I suspect is wrong with it. If you notice, when we put it into drive, the vehicle rolls backwards. It doesn't grab. It doesn't. There's no torque there. It doesn't hold itself on an incline at all. It just rolls backwards like it's got a standard in it when it's not supposed to. It's an automatic. Okay, and so if we pan back here, all right, this is going to be your transmission housing. This is going to be your tail shaft housing. This is all the stuff that you see on the outside. All right, this is all the stuff inside of your pan, inside of here. Here's your pan right here. Okay, so this is all the stuff that you see on the outside, and then this is all the stuff that you see on the inside. And it has arrows for me as a guide so that I can go through and know how each and every one of these pieces goes together. So we start here and all this pieces together, and then we go here and we follow the line, and then we start here again. So all this pieces together on that output shaft, which all this on down to here, pieces together in between all this, okay, and so on and so on. And so I suspect that, okay, so right here, this is our forward clutch, our forward moving clutch set up right here, okay, and you've got a seal right here that's inside of there, all right. And so I suspect that our problem is going to be internal somewhere in our forward clutch right here. And so this is all the internal. There's your spring, there's your piston, there's your clutch rings, all this, okay? And so let me see if I can get you a better shot of what we're looking at here. Okay, so here's our forward clutch, isolated out of that diagram for us from beginning to the end. So we've got our overdrive band right here. We've got our reverse drum, and inside of the drum are going to be all these parts and pieces, okay? And this is, so here's your reverse drum, and then inside of there you've got all the rings and the pistons and stuff. You've got your reverse clutch set up right here, all right, and then all that sits onto this shaft, okay, and then here is your forward drum, and you've got a seal. This is a rubber seal here, and a ring, and a piston, and a spring, and right here is your forward clutch, okay, and to keep it simple, this is what needs to grab. With all the fluid inside of there, this is what needs to grab in order for everything to work properly, in order for everything to move forward, okay? And so I can click on here, and that tells me, so there's your lip seal right there. So these two lip seals right here inside of our forward clutch, these are real easy to mess up and booger up. Also, unfortunately, inside of your forward clutch, if you scratch anything inside of here, if you scratch anything inside of here, or if you mess anything up inside of here, well, then the hydraulic fluid is not going to work correctly, pressure's not going to be correct. And it can be something as simple as a little cut or tear on one of these seals. It could be something as simple as a scratch on the surface here where some fluid can just seep through there. So with what's going on with that Ford transmission, the problem, I can guarantee you, I can't tell you exactly which one of these seals or whether it's in the actual clutch rings itself. Maybe the hub is damaged, who knows, but something inside of here I know for a fact is damaged. So that transmission is going to have to come out, and it's going to have to get opened up so that I can go in there and figure out what happened inside of this forward clutch that causes the symptoms that you just saw in this video. The other issue that I have, though, is that engine's not running right at all. And so I'm concerned we'll spend all this money to fix this transmission, and next thing you know, it's still not going to run correct because the engine isn't running right. And this Triton Expedition, if the electrical systems, and since the ignition and spark system is all electrical, if any of that is not working correctly, or if it hasn't been properly maintained or serviced, this truck is going to run all kinds of funny. It'll make the transmission shift funny. It'll make all kinds of things happen. So I say I will probably get a hold of the customers, maybe call them back in, show them everything I've shown them, and probably figure out how we're going to fix this long term and not just put a big Band-Aid on it. So, all right, folks, well, there you have it. This is Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician. I greatly appreciate you taking the time for watching and hanging out with me. Please like, subscribe, share the knowledge. I am signing off.